Hello, welcome. Today we're going to do a guide for the UK. We are going to stay democratic. We are going to fight Germany. We are going to let France capitulate, and then we'll do the Africa War, and then we'll invade Italy into Germany. We're going to do this on regular difficulty. I did a test run of this on stream a week or two ago on veteran difficulty, but I think for the purposes of recording, we'll just stick to regular. This build does not go very heavy on air. It gets you enough air to have air supremacy over North Africa, Italy, what have you, but I don't go super heavy on air in single player. I just go with enough to win the air war and nothing more. The first thing you do for every democratic nation is you come into occupied territories and you switch to local autonomy. Next things next, we're going to grab the Navy and we're going to merge it up with the home fleet. And we are going to train this. We need naval experience. And we do have some fuel gain. It hasn't updated yet, but we do have rights in Iraq and Iran. Nothing we need to do in decisions to start off with. Research, the basics. We can immediately start on mechanical computing though, because we're the UK and we start with radar for no reason. Nobody else does, but we do. Now you might think I should start by researching the Hurricane, but I'm not, because I'm not going to immediately start researching the Spitfire, and I'm not going to produce the Hurricane, so there's no point in doing that. What I'm going to do instead is research anti-tank, just so we can get a little trickle of this coming in. For production, we are going to delete the basic light tank. We don't care. We don't care about the interwar fighter or the Whitley bomber. We are going to put one carrier naval bomber into production, a truck into production, because we don't start with trucks in production, and towed anti-air into production. If we check our number of trains, I think we can get away without producing trains. If not, we'll deal with that later. I'm going to intentionally overproduce a little bit of support equipment and trucks because neither of them go out of date, but otherwise 2, 2, 2, 3, 4. It'll do. Navy. The Ark Royal is, what does that look like, 10% through? We'll finish it. It's good enough. We will finish any ship that is approximately 50% done or more. And sure, we'll finish that destroyer too. It's close enough. The light cruisers aren't worth anything, so if they're not significantly discounted, there's no point in finishing them. Make sure to go down to 1 on both these so you don't start a second one for no reason. We're going to assign them all to the home fleet so they automatically deploy and start training. Submarine wise, they suck. Get rid of them. And we are going to put 4 onto convoys. So we'll have 15 dockyards producing actual ships and 4 producing convoys once we complete everything above this. Construction, we start on civilian economy, massive debuff to actually constructing civilian factories. So we're going to look in here and we're going to see 10, 10, that's going to be a lot of empty slots once we start getting our industry research. So we're going to want to put infrastructure in these 2 states at least, and we'll also do the West Midlands just because it has a lot of free slots as well. And then we'll build civs in all of these slots. Focus-wise, always start with limited rearmament, 4 extra civs for free, completely worthwhile. Army, we're going to shift-click this button, deselect the top one, and then delete the rest of them. And then we're going to just train this one division. To start off with, we'll get basically no army experience. But by September, we'll be getting about 0.1 per day. Oh, Air Force. I always forget about Air Force. Easiest way for the UK to get their Air Force together is to shift-click all of these through the Air tab. Because then you don't have to go searching across the entirety of the world, and then just bring them to London. We'll merge them up in London, and we'll train them up to level 3, and now we let the game run. Remilitarize the Rhineland. Just going to issue the objection. For the Montreux Convention, we are going to back the Turks. On historical, this does nothing. We just get 5 Navy experience out of it. Second focus is very rare to be able to continue on to the Shadow Scheme. So we're going to come over here and we're going to do steady as she goes. Get a little bit of stability going in, and it will counter the fact that Edward VIII is a terrible ruler. So we're just over 35 naval experience, so we could go for naval experience gain here. But if you look at this number, based on our current naval experience from exercises, that is how many days it would take just to pay back the 35 naval experience from selecting this. And I'm not going to stay on this forever. I'm going to want flexible contracts, and then I'm going to want naval refitting yards. I don't think I'm going to stay on this long enough for this to really matter. So we are not going to select that. We are just going to let our naval experience continue to grow. With our first 135 political power, though, we are going to get the silent workhorse. So having done steady as she goes, we're going to do reinforce the Empire. We're going to get that extra 10% base stability. So the anti-tank gun's done and basic machine tools finished at the same time. We are going to put this into production and we'll drop 1 off support equipment onto dispersed 1 and improved machine tools. Okay, so we eventually do get a 15th military factory from subjects. We're going to put that back on support equipment. Every time you finish a focus, always come back here and check to see if you can do either of these. But since we can't, we'll do service overseas. Construction 1 is done. Let's go on to Construction 2. After we get the political power guy, we're going to go to early mobilization. It's going to give us 5% consumer goods, and it's going to reduce the construction speed penalty from building civs from 30 to 10, which is pretty big, especially early games. That's going to help us get these civs out faster. You can swap them around like this if you want. Long term, it doesn't really do anything. Nationalist Spain, we are not going to send an attaché to them. That war does not last long enough to be worthwhile. So now we're going to go to flexible contracts because I want to be able to get the coastal defense designer, which we will get in 3 political power because we just finished all of our starting screens and all of that. So we're going to come in here and we're going to design a very cheap destroyer. I forgot to do sonar research. If you'd like to start the game off, doing sonar research is not a bad idea. You are going up against Germany. Germany will have a ton of subs. So a little bit of sonar never hurt anybody. So we'll save that and put that into production. And we're going to actually deploy these separate of the rest of the fleet, just so we don't have to split them off later. And with this research slot, we're going to go get sonar. With service overseas complete, there was a short time period during this where we were over 5 world tension. And because the month ended, it ticked down. So we are now at 4.9%. That's pretty unlucky, actually. And unfortunately, there's nothing we can do to add 1 world tension. Well, it's all right. We'll go on to encourage the colonial elite. If we get down to the Burma Road, we get an extra 5% base war support, which is really nice. The 5% war support here will offset the fact that Neville Chamberlain has minus 5%. And we're not going to get rid of Chamberlain. Also, if we come up here, as you can see, our army experience is starting to tick up very quickly. It's the 1 division training exploit. Still works. Decently well, at least. Just takes a little while. It takes a while for the game to forget how many divisions you had to start with. The first thing we're going to do with this is get relief of command. Always sell ships to the Portuguese. I'm not even certain you lose ships, but even if you do, it's worthwhile. Now that we've got a couple destroyers out, we will start training them. Okay, we have a 16th factory. We're going to put it on guns. We are also going to get the industrial concern guy because we're doing so much industry research right now. And there really isn't another political advisor that's worth anything to start the game. We don't have a civ guy. And then we're going to save up for relief of command because it makes it 50% cheaper to get your army advisors. At this point, I'm going to get the improved light chassis. Might seem weird, but if you watched my video on saving resources from converting tanks, we're going to make use of that. We're going to make heavy use of that onto Fortify East Asia and Disperse 2. We don't need to do this is it takes 210 days to go from general rearmament down to fighter command to get the bonus for the Spitfire. So as long as we start researching the Hurricane when we start doing general rearmament, we'll have it before we get the 100% boost. Which means for now, we're going to do fuel refining too. It'll increase the amount of fuel we get, so it'll increase our naval experience gain. What the heck was that? I swear that just jumped by like 20 political power. I'm going to get the air reform right now. We're going to want a lot of air experience, and we don't have an easy way of generating air experience. Okay, we can now do Shadow Scheme, and the China War hasn't started yet anyways. So Shadow Scheme it is, and that'll let us get 2 times research bonuses for industry, which is perfect because that'll allow us to rush Disperse 3 and probably Construction 3. Construction 3 probably makes more sense than Advanced Machine Tools. For the Bulgarian rearmament negotiations, I always go with the middle one. I mean, Bulgaria is such a small country, it really doesn't matter if they build an army or not, but I don't know, I feel like roleplay reasons, the middle one is the most reasonable. They can get a non-aggression pact with their neighbors, sure, you can build up your army. I'm going to give refuge to German and Italian scientists at this point, while we wait for the Sino-Japanese War. We will not give in to threats. Who do they think we are? We're the British. We're not scared of you. Shadow Scheme's done. On to industrial effort. You don't have to worry about this. The French will never get the factories needed to actually assume leadership. And Italian scientists, the minus 5% are offset entirely by George V. I'm also going to get the excavation techs because they will also increase the amount of fuel you extract. Okay, we cannot actually afford to design this tank just yet. We are still 6 army experience off from where we want to be. Now 5. We're going to get improved equipment conversion 1. Right now, just because I don't want to pay the ahead of time penalty on some of the other things. It's just a little too far ahead of time. The Ark Royal is now done. What we are going to do is take the Leander, because it's got the least amount of stuff on it, and we are going to make a heavy cruiser out of this. an empty heavy cruiser, because then we can later refit the top of these with light cruiser battery 3s. So we'll just put this into production. We'll put it in Liverpool just so it's automatically split off. I'm going to get the military factories first. Because doctrines aren't researched anymore, the extra research slot isn't as vital. You're also just about to get to 35 army experience. There goes Mr. Baldwin, which is actually going to change things. We're not going to get the military factories. We are going to come over here and we're going to do home defense. That's going to give us 5% base war support, offsets him. Offsets his minus 5% from here, which will allow us to stay on early mobilization. And 35 army experience, we get relief of command, and we are going to appoint 1 advisor. We want to stay above 50 command power because that allows us to send an attaché to China. We are also going to start improving relations with them because they don't like us because we hold their cores. And we know the Sino-Japanese War is about to start. So we're definitely doing Dispersed 3. We'll probably continue on to Concentrated. Okay, so we have 100 political power. We have the opinion. We have the command power, so we can send an attaché. And this also gives us 10% war support, which combined with home defense will allow us to go to partial mob. I'm going to do construction 3. Usually I do production efficiency, but I'm going to get the construction speed bonus. I'm missing carrier capable fighters. If we get another military factory from subjects, it'll go on to that. Why do we care so much about Manchukuo? We are exactly at 10%, so we're going to do general rearmament. This focus will not cancel even if we drop below 10%. And now that we're doing general rearmament, we'll take improved equipment conversions and we'll do the Hawker Hurricane. Thinking back on this, Fortified East Asia was a waste of time. We should have just done home defense. So computing machine and Hawker Hurricane. So we are going to let these civs finish. All of the civs in the 100% slots, but any trickle over we're going to use to start making mills. With the attaché in China, we are now going to start appointing all of our army high commands as command power permits. We care primarily about army experience. So we're going to get army regrouping and army logistics on top of the infantry leader. So our next political power expenditure will actually be the Supermarine Spitfire. And we are going to design that tank. So we're going to swap to wheeled suspension. We're going to leave on the one-man turret. We are going to put on the heavy machine gun because it's the cheapest. And that is it. We're going to name this the Matilda PT. Prototype costs 2.45 is the cheapest you can make a light tank. We'll put that into production. We're only going to need about 2 military factories on this. This will produce all the light tanks we need and then we'll convert from those. Actually, I lied. We are not going to do the Supermarine next. We are going to go to partial mob. We are going to divert bomber production because we're not producing any currently, so it doesn't actually matter. We're going to continue on to fighter command, which will actually line up nicely with this research slot right here. We are also going to go for tactical bombers this game. Their range is quite useful for us. You can do this with CAS, but CAS tend to struggle with the range. Okay, Dispersed 3 is done, which means we will wait for fighter command to finish in 2 days and go straight on to the Spitfire, which we will have about the beginning of 39, which is early enough for single player. Now let's go into Royal Ordnance factories. Do not invest in Greece. It is not worth the 5% consumer goods. We're also going to up the civs in these states. Now we'll move on to improved machine tools. And we should start working towards the 1939 artillery and infantry equipment tech. Okay, Supermarine designer now. And there goes Nationalist Spain. That actually took a little bit longer than I expected, 1938. Okay, Royal Ordnance Factory, now we will get the extra research slot. I think now is an appropriate time to grow the rubber plantations in Nigeria. Oh, also, another thing I could have been doing this entire time, for one factory, I get an extra 35 oil from British Malaya, which will up the amount we will get from naval exercises. I don't think you wanted to start doing that from the beginning of the game, but I think I might have left it a little bit too late. We are going to stay fleet and being because we can go down this middle track here, which will get us all of the escort efficiency bonuses, while also being able to come down here. 5 factories on tactical bombers. I put a couple on the Hurricane. This is just to get the production efficiency up, not because I actually care about the Hurricane, but we'll get a good amount of production efficiency by the time we actually have Spitfire. And we now have our entire high command appointed and are gaining 0.57 a day. Okay, we're going to swap to the Pacific Fleet Designer temporarily. I want to make a couple of designs. So for the Ark Royal class, we are going to up you to Anti-Air 2. This will increase the deck size. And we also want to find the Courageous class, make the same change. and then we'll be able to convert both the Eagle and the Courageous to that design. I am also going to upgrade the Hermes. The Hermes isn't going to be in our main fleet, but the extra naval bombers for hunting subs should help sink them. We'll also take off the AA because it'll make the refit slightly cheaper. With those designs saved, we're going to want to swap back to the Coastal Defense Designer, and then we're going to swap to the Naval Refit Yards. Focuses wise, we can do two focus. We can do Naval Rearmament into Aircraft Production Group, because we're 150 days away from the Spitfire anyway, so we can do at least two focuses. And with this research slot, let's get Advanced Equipment Conversion. We can make this one outdated and we can start converting from stockpile so that we'll have a good number of light tanks. Munich Conference, we're not going to defend the Czechs. We are playing historically. I was just thinking about I should explain going for home defense over motion of no confidence better. One of the bonuses of not going, send the special representative to Yugoslavia, it's fine. One of the bonuses of going home defense is you never do no further appeasement, which gets rid of Filk Kerr, which costs you 15% political power, which is just not worth it. The other benefit of going home defense is you get base war support early before the war starts, and you get 10% base stability. When you go home defense, you lose 30% stability. Once you're at war, you're going to be basically maxed out on war support, but you're going to be sitting at 50 to 60 stability going global defense versus in the 80s when you've gone home defense. Okay, Naval Rearmament is done. Let's go into Aircraft Production Group. I don't think I've ever seen this before, but I'm pretty certain this is the ship that the Portuguese buy. I wonder, do I actually have to produce this to get the civs? I don't know. We're going to produce a couple more of these empty CAs. With the research slot from Advanced Machine Tools, we're actually going to go get the basic engine. Okay, we are now at the point where we can realistically get the War Industrialist, help build those military factories a little bit faster. After Aircraft Production Group, I'm going to stop off and get Bomber Command, the 1940 tactical bomber, very cheap. And we have the Spitfire. We are not going to immediately continue on to the Spiteful. It is not very worthwhile. Instead, we are going to go for the improved medium batteries so that we can do the refit I was talking about. Not necessarily worthwhile. And we are going to put the Spitfire into production. I am going to wait until we hit 230. Never mind it, the cost dropped to 220. And this is the Spitfire we are going to put into production. I'm not quite going to max out the engines because the range is going to be important for us when it comes to North Africa. I'll max both of them out as we get more air experience though. Now is right around the time where getting Montgomery is not a terrible idea. We're going to stick with Grand Battle Plan. It's good enough. We get the largest cost reduction and we already have the first one unlocked. Superior firepower is technically a better doctrine, but we don't need it. Okay, both the tank researches are now done. We'll now get engineer companies, and we will design our improved tank that we're going to convert to. And we're actually going to have two variants of this. So the first one we'll save is the TD variant, which will have the basic high velocity cannon. It will give us the piercing we need. There's no point in using anything more than the light fixed superstructure. We can also afford to put a small cannon on it. Radio isn't worth much on these guys. If we had a dozer blade unlocked, we would put a dozer blade on it, but we don't have a dozer blade unlocked yet. And with the 6.68 cost, these guys we're not actually going to convert. These guys will just build from scratch. The tanks we're going to convert are the main tanks. We're going to use the close support gun and a 3-man turret. We're going to swap to Christie suspension, stick on riveted armor. We're going to be pierced by everything anyways. Additional machine guns are not bad. And then something like this, stacking as much soft tack as you can. Then we're going to up the engine as high as we can go. And then we'll add armor until we hit 9. So we're going to have 29 breakthrough on this. We go up one more, hit 8.8. Actually, we can go all the way up to 8.1 if we pair these with mechanized. So we'll actually end up doing that. Now, we don't actually care about the armor that comes from this. What we care about is the breakthrough value. So that's the tank we are going to put into production in this production line. We are going to mark this as obsolete, and that's going to allow us to convert this from stockpile. We'll actually be able to, I think we'll actually be able to convert both from stockpile, but the math on this might not be worthwhile. This one will be though. Okay, let's do a motorized army. This will give us a research boost to the Bren gun carrier. It is also about time to start converting some of these carriers. We'll convert the Hermes and the Ark Royal to start with. These guys, we're going to have to wait for the war to actually break out to do. Sometime between February and March, you are going to want to stop training this division, up it to the proper 28 width, and add support artillery and support anti-air. And then you're going to want to start spamming out as many as you can. We're also going to add engineer companies and support artillery and support anti-air to these divisions as well. And I'm going to up them to a 14 width. From this point on, also, basically every new military factory goes on to fighters. These first 17, as soon as they're ready to deploy, you deploy them. We are going to take 3 on Gibraltar, 3 on Malta, 3 on Cyprus, 2 on Alexandria, 2 on Port Said, and then these remaining 4, we're actually going to put right here. And we'll add a couple more here. We are also going to want to build a supply hub right in the middle here. We're going to level up this railroad, and then we're going to continue on to build a level 2 all the way up to there. And this fixes our supply problems in the middle. And since we're in the mood of building railways, I'm going to build up this railway link. This will allow us to output 35 supply globally. Currently, we can only do 25. For field marshals, we are going to use Bernard Montgomery here. Why? Unyielding defender. That defense also applies to breakthrough. Unyielding defender is actually better on offensive generals than aggressive assaulter. Plus, assault and shock tactics are very easy to counter, so you don't actually want to increase the chance of using those. So, Unyielding Defender, he has Logistics Wizard, Offensive Doctrine. If you're not grinding a general, he's actually really good. Now, you can obviously grind generals way better than him. You can obviously grind field marshals way better than him, but he is one of the best starting generals in the game. We are also going to stop training the Navy so that we can get a little bit of fuel back. We can go for Royal Tank Regiment. We're not going to spend this political power, we're going to save it. And with this newly available research slot, we will move on to researching Mechanized 1. With the garrison divisions you're pumping out, you're going to want to deploy them as soon as they're ready. Just get them in position. Worry about them actually being trained up once they're in position. We're going to take 4 more of them. We're going to put them on this river line. We're going to take 6 and put them on El Alamein. In single player, you do not actually need to build up the port here. And the remaining 7 will add to the existing army, and we'll set up a defensive order from them here. But we are going to swap them to the larger division. At this point, we're going to start preparing the Navy for war, so we're going to split off our submarines, give them an actual sub symbol, put them in a separate fleet, and split them into 4 groups. They can have Henry Harwood, and we're going to set them up out here. The rest of the Navy we will put under Andrew Cunningham because he's bold. We'll give him Concealment Expert. We're going to start by putting them on Strike Force. We are going to start with them in the Atlantic and North Sea until we have sunk a good portion of the German fleet, which will happen sometime around their invasion of Norway. Engineer companies are done. We will continue down AT research to AT2. Okay, these guys are ready to deploy, so we'll deploy them. We are going to train up 13 more divisions, and that will fill out William's army, and that is all we are going to need to start off with. We're going to continue on to fuel refining 3 and also infantry equipment 2. With our naval experience, we'll get night fighting. With our air experience, we are going to get centralized control, very useful. With our army experience, we're going to get logisticals focus because we're going to be doing a lot of fighting in Africa, and we'll get to actual doctrines. With improved medium battery done, I'm actually going to go on to landing craft. It'll be quite useful in our invasion of Italy. With the medium battery 3s done, we can also now do the refit of our 1936 light cruisers. You could also consider refitting either the Town or Leander class, if you'd like, to heavy cruisers. But that's unnecessary. We have more than enough of a fleet to beat the Italians, so let's refit these. I'm going to stop off and get Prepare the Inevitable. There's not really anything else I'd like to do at this moment. I am going to get the infantry equipment designer though. My mental math says we will still have enough political power to go to total mob and women in the workforce. Don't forget to also up your carriers. They are going to have 75 deck size, so 40-35 will do. And then for the Hermes, you don't actually need fighters. These guys aren't going to actually be in our main fleet, so we'll just give them naval bombers. Now that the Hermes is done refitting, completely split them off and send them to our destroyer fleet. They will help hunt down subs. Now I know if you've watched my naval guide, you'll wonder why I'm not putting 75 fighters on the bottom one. And that's because these guys aren't going to stay together for a very long time. So just to avoid having to change it later, I'm not going to do that. Okay, the final amount of dudes are ready. And we will train this entire army. Okay, my mental math was actually quite a bit off, but with a naval treaty abridged, we can now refit all of these carriers. What fortuitous foresight. These guys we are going to give Mr. James here, because he has 25% positioning. That'll help us because we are actually likely to have a larger fleet, because your convoys count towards your fleet size. And we can still give him Concealment Expert, and we will give him Retreat Decision Chance. and we'll set them to escort along these regions, and we are going to block off the Bay of Biscay. Sure, we can invite all of the subjects in, and because we are short a little bit on infantry equipment, all of your puppets send you it. It's great. We're going to take these tactical bombers and we are going to naval bomb out into the western approaches. Now continue on to issue gas masks. I've been a little light on my infantry equipment. It's unfortunate. Let us request Lend-Lease from France. And this is something you can do, is just request Lend-Lease from anyone who might hate the Germans. Once world tension gets high enough, which it will the second the Benelux happens. Now what we're going to do is we're going to help France out a little bit here. We're going to request 24 of its divisions. Now why are we going to do this? Because the French AI is dumb. We're going to Neil Ricci and we're just going to set up a defensive line about here. We are also going to request Lend-Lease from the Belgians, and it can really help to queue up an extra couple of divisions here when you do this. Gives you a bigger deficit, they'll give you more guns. And then once they've accepted, because it's not continuous, we can just cancel this. We don't need those anyways, and that was why we were running out of manpower. Okay, French divisions have showed up. We can now leave the Maginot. Take all these planes, put them over the Benelux. Same with the CAS. We're not producing CAS, but we have CAS, so might as well use it. And 1,500 planes is enough to get you yellow air, which will get them to hold for a while. Long enough for your gun shipments to show up. And that's the important part, because we're letting France capitulate. We're not trying to help them not capitulate. We don't actually care about that. You want to unassign aces at the moment. Our planes kind of suck and they're likely to get shot down. Okay, there goes the Netherlands. There's the Bren gun carrier as well. So let's put that into production at the bottom. Once we hit 50 factories on the Spitfire, we'll start producing Mech 1s. Because we're all nice and situated and entrenched, they're going to have an exceptionally hard time getting through these front lines. And that's the point. We are going to ignore the fact that I've forgotten to make a spy agency. That's just how impactful it is. If I hadn't forgotten, I would have made it sometime mid-38. Okay, next land doctrine. A little bit of soft attack and breakthrough, never hurt anybody. Okay, there's Winston Churchill. See, you get him regardless of which path you go down, which is why it's not really worthwhile going down global defense. Okay, with your exile divisions, it is not a bad idea to set up your home defense. You don't really need it. They should never be able to get the naval invasion support needed to land, but we'll set it up anyways. Okay, they need to hold for one more day. Once we get our guns, the Benelux can capitulate. Okay, we have 250 political power. We can now go to total mob and women in the workforce, which means we need to find new building slots. Well, we'll build in Africa. We get close to 90% of these anyways, so I don't really do any of these speeches, but these joint training exercises are great. Although sometimes you have to do these to get legitimacy. Oh, the other nice thing about this is I'm getting XP for this. We are going to go for let the political landscape shift to keep the people united because it's going to give us a base stability. I'm going to set Montgomery to go down here in the south just because I'm likely not going to notice when this war kicks off. I'm going to take aircrew surveys. It'll help us get through the air doctrine faster. Oh, and make sure your navies are set to automatically split off. You don't want to accidentally lose a ship. It's not like we're in multiplayer where it actually matters. Okay, there's the 6-pounder. We can continue on to do artillery research. Okay, there goes Belgium. And Italy has joined. And so has the Benelux. And so has Luxembourg. I should have done this earlier. We're actually going to move these two guys over here and make sure we hold this airport. Oh, I messed that up. I did not convert a bunch of the colonial garrisons. Let's stop this order then. Everyone on this order stop. You need to convert. I'm going to go operational integrity. We're going to go get the advanced light tank chassis. And Germany has part of its surface fleet out here. It's an odd spot for your surface fleet, Germany. Oh, are those Italian troop convoys we're sinking? They don't have the manpower to reinforce, but otherwise they are reinforced. And Italy's going to last stand, so we are going to stop. We're not attacking the mountains while somebody's last standing. that's just asking to die. Now that Italy has stopped last standing, we can resume attacking them. Again, you're going to want to do a little bit of micro because the AI will attack wherever and whenever it pleases, regardless if that is going to cause them to lose. So we can finally do joint Polish-British training exercise. That's going to give us 25 Army experience and 50 Air and Navy experience. So we are going to do that. And we are also going to request the Azores lease. With the Azores, our convoy escorts can now reach into the next sea zone. If you want them to be able to reach further, take a couple of the interwar cruisers and put them in here, and they'll be able to reach. There is the main German fleet. Let's hope we can get there in time. They are currently disengaged. Our fleet said it was moving to intercept and then never did. Well, I would have taken manual control if that statement was true. Well, you should base yourself at a Scapa flow then, if the German fleet's going to be all the way out there. Okay, that's going to get us a bunch of screens. And with the Military Training Act done, we will start getting a little bit more manpower. Now is about the time you might want to go for air defense. Next political power expenditure needs to be limited conscription. One way to draw out the German fleet is to spread out your convoy escorts and then switch them to convoy raiding. They're not particularly good at it, but they will get the strike force involved. There we go. Can you actually just stay there in Norway? I want to take out their main capital ships. Once we take out their main capital ships, I'll send the fleet to the Mediterranean. Okay, we are going to swap these guys back to convoy escort at this point. What the hell is the German fleet doing out here? We'll go for the spiteful, but we'll probably have capitulated Germany by then. Okay, they've held long enough. Let's bring you guys home. Once France loses the air, they will quickly capitulate. Okay, we are going to set up 400 in each air region. 400 in each air region is enough to stop the AI bombing you. 15 and 50 is pretty good. And then we'll go up to 15 on the Bren gun carrier. Don't bother with the 200 political power, just say their promise is good enough for now. Also, that coincides with having enough for limited conscription. Okay, with the Italians being done in the mountains, we're going to move these guys up to northern Egypt. There's the fall of France. Norway, for some reason, had a couple of divisions there. Interesting. We can do a joint French-British training exercise, so we will. I'm now going to start training up 6 motorized divisions. We're going to convert these into the tank divisions we will be using. I reorganized my army, and for some reason, my divisions on Al Alamein left, despite the fact that there's no reason they should have. Okay, Vichy France, that will make sense. Bring you guys over to Alexandria. Air defense is done. We can now go get radar. Where the f are you guys going? What the hell? There had to have been a naval battle I didn't see. A naval result somewhere. Okay, there must have been right here. Okay, that makes a little more sense. I was busy dealing with Africa and we sank the main part of the German fleet. Why my navy decided to split into 2 million pieces and go all over the place to repair, I don't know. But we got their fleet. Okay, we'll pull out of the sea zone. Go back to convoy escort. These 2 armies, I'm going to make sure they're all the large division. And I'm going to make sure they're all properly trained up. Okay, they're all coming back. It's like a mass migration. Okay, so now that the fleet is all nice and repaired, merged up, we are going to take the 3 battle cruisers. We're going to take half the battleships, take a bunch of the outdated cruisers, and we're going to make this its own task force. Their job is to maintain naval supremacy. We don't want any surprise naval invasions. These guys we're going to split off and send to Alexandria. And just temporarily, we are going to let them go through the Mediterranean. I have this feeling of just being slightly behind schedule compared to the test runs I did. Okay, so we just got the advanced light tank chassis. It made us 2 upgrades for this. It did not, however, make us an upgrade for the cheapest model. But that'll cost us 7 army experience. And then we will put the light TD3 and the Valentine in production. Okay, our army is nice and trained up, which means we can now go for a march to Tripoli. We only need about half the divisions. We won't have supply for the rest. Going to want to put up the Air Force for this. And we are going to build up Malta as an air base and a radar station. And let's go for a little walk through North Africa. Coinciding with our walk through Africa, we are also going to send 2 fleets to convoy escort. And we're going to duplicate these air wings that were in France, getting lots of experience, and bring them down to the Mediterranean, leaving behind the inexperienced to protect the home islands. Oh, there's the Italian fleet, and we are moving to intercept. Let's hope those screens don't get destroyed too quickly. Bye-bye, Italian fleet. Okay, we're going to tell one of you guys to come and sit in Malta. Just so you don't have to respond as far. And let's keep pushing across Africa. Bring the air up. Okay, I've never had the Germans actually get divisions down here and have it matter. Fine. Fine. We're going to take our 2 strike forces, we're going to split them in half, and we're going to convoy raid. You want to fight for this? You're not going to have any supply then. Oh, another thing we can do, split off all of these guys. We don't have the command power for that. China, your attaché has to go. We need our command power back. Extra supplies. There, supply problems gone. Temporarily at least. Okay, we are just sinking more and more of the Italian fleet. Okay, let's design our tank division. A couple of light tanks, some light tank destroyers for dealing with any other threats we might come up against. Okay, and I'd have everything available to me if I did that. And let's swap out some motorized for mechanized. This template will do for now. We are going to want to add support anti-air and support artillery to this. Okay, naval invasion time. We are going to take out Sardinia first. Taking Sardinia gives us the opportunity to build air bases there. Alrighty, naval invasion is a go. Build up the air base and the radar here. It'll help us out. Meanwhile, let's set up some naval invasions of Sicily. Okay, multi-prong attack from the north and the south. We'll let that plan while the air bases build up. And we have just slowly been shooting down the entire German Air Force over the English Channel here. I don't know, they put air up in the English Channel and then they just never took it down. So we're also going to bring in these 900 fighters to Sardinia, and another 600 up as well. Okay, we finally got dispersed 4, so we can go back to building mills in the home island. Let's also change the motorized division, give a little bit of artillery and anti-air. Those divisions will be done in time for D-Day. Put everything up over the Italian peninsula and hit go. See if we can't immediately get across. Perfect. Okay, that went quite smoothly. That went incredibly smoothly, actually. Let's bring up the second army. We're just going to put them here in Sicily for now, for supply purposes. Alrighty, our tanks are ready. Exile generals are currently bugged. They always start as a level 1, but they keep their original stats. But we don't actually have any good ones, so we're going to go with Oliver Lease. Bring him down to Naples. Set him to purple. I'd like to point out it's still only February 1941. Barb has not happened yet, and we are marching up the Italian peninsula with the fall of Rome. This is why I don't go heavy on air. You need enough air. You don't need stupid amounts of air. We're going to go all the way up to Genoa on this coast. And you guys are going to go all the way up to Venice on that coast. And I'll just click go for the rest of you guys. Genoa is a very tough nut to crack if you actually let them sit on it. Let's try and get up to Milan. Okay, William Slim, we need you up at the front line. We have the supply for you now. Well, we've had the supply for you for a little bit, actually. We can also bring in all of our garrisons and start training up another 24 divisions. Low priority, same as the tanks. Those are going to be for the D-Day if Barb happens. Okay, you guys stop executing your orders. Okay, the tanks are here. Let's stick them up near Genoa here. They just need to punch 2 tiles. That's it. Give you guys a little staff office planning bonus here, because you do have 69% planning. Even with the staff office, it's going to take 7 days. Okay, staff office planning bonus is done, and 3 of the 5 divisions cannot pierce this. That makes 0 sense, but okay. It literally has no armor. Okay, let's pin all these divisions in place. Okay, and a nice encirclement. That has the power of planning bonus. I got a Yugoslavian medium tank. And he's only a 12 width, but still. That has a nice juicy encirclement. That is 20, 45 divisions, give or take. Who needs help with the Russians? Our best bet at this point would be to take literally a single province. Bring in the tanks then. Punch to Turin. Let's get... What? Why can't I do a collaboration government? Why is there not a collaboration government listed on Germany? Am I blind? I have 0 clue why I can't perform a collaboration government on them. I also have 0 clue why they can't pierce me. AA2 can pierce these tank divisions. Okay, if we can manage to get Turin here, we will have a very good portion of the German army encircled. We might actually even get a railway gun out of this. I'm not going to invite the United States. We don't need them. They are moving way too quickly for units that don't have any supply. Okay, so they're all apparently going to get out because I can't break this river line with complete air superiority. Let's go for an invasion of Hamburg. Okay, an invasion of the north here, plus we have 5 tanks to support that. I don't understand why there is no option for me to do a collaboration government on Germany. Like, I don't get it. Like, my big fear is that I've accidentally been playing with a mod on, but like a mod that doesn't really look like a mod. Doesn't really change anything. Theoretically possible, but I don't really see it. You're going to need a railway right there. I should have supply, right? What is that link there not considered active yet? Okay, there we go. We finally have supply through here. Come on, just take Munich. I know I'm sitting at very low manpower. I'm trying to do this without going above limited conscription, just for reasons. Because I've done it already like this before. Build a port in Hamburg, because for some reason the port's not in Hamburg. Well, I actually managed to get 6 out. Well, not actually out, we're going to pour everything into them. We'll also take the Exile Division, sure, we'll throw those in. Plus the 5 tank divisions can drive just straight to Berlin. That's an excellent use of fuel. Bravo. Entire fleet shows up for 6 damn subs. Idiots. Okay, we're just going to try and snake these last victory points. They should be pretty close to capitulation now. Try and get up here to Cologne. You guys up here to Essen. We are not cooperating with the Soviet Union. Why would we cooperate with the Soviet Union? Why are you guys cut off? There goes Berlin. That little lag made me think they capitulated, but they did not. Stop it with the we don't have supply, just move to the damn front lines. We need every man at the front. Come on, that's not enough? 98%. We actually do need Stettin. Go to Stettin. Ah, I lost that division. Still haven't taken... Why are you walking away from victory points? Come on. There we go. How the hell did the Soviet Union get 620 war score? They puppet. Legionary Romania. It's fine. And that is Germany capitulated without the US joining the Allies in September of 1941. And technically, I'm still on limited conscription. Oh yeah, and then there's this nonsense between Vichy France and France because the game devs can't possibly conceive of somebody being able to capitulate Germany prior to regular France going through his focus tree. Despite the fact that it takes, each one of these is 70 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 times 70 divided by 365 is 4.4 years to do every focus in this focus tree. Inconceivable that Germany could be capitulated in less than 4 years. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you'd like to go and take out Japan, you can go right ahead. Your navy is more than strong enough to do so, but I'm not going to bother with this. This is just a capitulating Germany in 1941. Actually faster than last time I did it. Took me till mid-1942 to do it. So anyways, I'm going to do a guide on Italy. However, I'm going to do an early war guide on Italy, attacking the Allies quite quickly rather than waiting till 3940, and also trying to reform the Roman Empire. After that, it'll probably be Warhammer 3 time.